हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिचार्य अस्तोतरस्त शिष्य डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिचार्य अस्तोतरस्त डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोधाम की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय, मथुरा धाम की जय, मायापुर नवदीप धाम की जय, जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय, गंगा मई जमुना मई की जय, तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय, समवेत भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga.
Jai Shri Guru Garanga. Thank you, Mahesh Pandit Prabhu. Thank you all for being here on this 24th of July, 1 p.m. here in Honolulu, Hawaii. And we are continuing our Srimad Bhagavatam reading with text 25 of the first chapter of the fourth canto. And Madhupati Prabhu, would you be willing to start our reading for 125? Or is that not enough notice? I don't want to jump something on you. All right, I will begin for 125. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I'm just pulling it up on my Kindle. It's a little bit easier to navigate when I'm not looking at the phone. All right, text 25. Kripavaloken hasad vadane nopalam bhitan tadrochisha pratihate nimilya munirakshini. Atri Muni was greatly pleased to see that the three devas were gracious towards him. His eyes were dazzled by the effulgence of their bodies, and therefore he closed his eyes for the time being. Since the deities were smiling, he could understand that they were pleased with him. Their glaring bodily effulgence was intolerable to his eyes, so he closed them for the time being. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Gurudasa Jayadvaita Swami Namne. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namne. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavari Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamsha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namoste. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhu Vevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Only a couple small things from me. One, of course, Hiranmayena Patrena Satyasyapi Tamukam Tapam Pusham Pavranu Satya Dharma Drishtaye. Guru Maharaj, you've quoted that a couple times in the past couple months, and we're seeing that here. Never mind the Supreme Lord alone, even the demigods are very effulgent. We see this in the pastime of the Shamantaka jewel. Even just having the jewel made Satrajit so effulgent, they thought Surya himself was present. So even within our material experience, there's things that are so dazzling for our eyes. Never mind the mundane beauty of people of this world. The demigods are so fantastic that our eyes have difficulty perceiving them. So never mind something spiritual, even more exalted, so much so that for Arjuna to perceive the universal form Dadami, te chakshu, divyam dadami te chakshu. So he needed transcendental vision. So here we're seeing the demigods have appeared and they're very pleased with him, and therefore kripavalokena, they're glancing at him mercifully. And I was listening to a class by His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu, and when an instance of the Lord glancing mercifully upon his devotees appeared, he immediately asked everybody, he said, 50 points to anyone else who can think of another instance of the Lord glancing mercifully upon his devotee. And so then the congregation scrambled, trying to rack their brains for other instances of the Lord glancing. And so when I saw this verse, I thought, oh, this could have been my 50 points. Kripavalokena, the three deities glancing mercifully. Yeah, that's all. Guru Maharaj, anything on this brief purport and verse?
Well covered.
All right. I had asked Madhupati Prabhu if you would be willing to read. The offer is still there if you're available for 4/1/26 to 27. But we have one comment first from Saraswati Devi. Pranams Param Puja Maharaj and all Vaishnavas. We know Atri Muni is very powerful, and we hear of Brahma Teja too. Brahma Teja. But I was wondering how even the Smartha Brahmanas who have interest in material profits, like Shukracharya, become so powerful. So much so that by their blessings, the demons can become more powerful than the demigods. We can't hear you, Guru Maharaj. It's still muted.
Chakshurmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kodamahyam Dadati Shapadantika. Power, there's spiritual power, there's material power. Hiranyakashipu became powerful more than the demigods. So by austerity especially, one gets great power. By knowledge, one gets power. By armies, one gets power. There are different ways of getting power. So by the grace of the material energy, one can become powerful, or even by some degree of spiritual capability, one becomes powerful. Power is available.
Powers of?
Power is available.
All right. Madhupati Prabhu, the next couple texts.
Okay. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Gurudas Jayadvaita Swami Tinamne Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Patane Sisunyavati Pasade Shatarine. (26) and 27 altogether.
Yes.
Chetas tat pramanam yunjan astavit samhat anjali lakshyena suktaya vacha sarvaloka gartya saha atri vacha vishwa udbhavastitilayeshu Vishwa Udbhayastileshu Vibhajyamanahi Maya Gunai Aniyogam Vigihita Deha Te Brahma Vishnu Girisha Pranato Asmi Hamvaha Tebhya Ka Eva Bhavatama Iho Pahuta. Translation. But since his heart was already attracted by the deities, somehow or other he gathered his senses and with folded hands and sweet words, he began to offer prayers to the predominating deities of the universe. The great sage Atri said, O Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva, you have divided yourself into three bodies by accepting the three modes of material nature. As you do in every millennium for the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all of you, and beg to inquire whom of you three I have called by my prayer. Atri Rishi called for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Jagadishvara, the Lord of the universe. The Lord must exist before the creation, otherwise how could he be its Lord? If someone constructs a big building, this indicates that he must have existed before the building was constructed. Therefore, the Supreme Lord, the Creator of the universe, must be transcendental to the material modes of nature. But it is known that Vishnu takes charge of the mode of goodness, Brahma takes charge of the mode of passion, and Lord Shiva takes charge of the mode of ignorance. Therefore, Atri Muni said that Jagadishvara, the Lord of the universe, must be one of you. But since three of you have appeared, I cannot recognize whom I have called. You are all so kind. Please let me know who is actually Jagadishvara, the Lord of the universe. In fact, Atri Rishi was doubtful about the constitutional position of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. But he was quite certain that the Lord of the universe cannot be one of the creatures created by Maya. His very inquiry about whom he had called indicates that he was in doubt about the constitutional position of the Lord. Therefore, he prayed to all three, kindly let me know who is the transcendental Lord of the universe. He was certain, of course, that not all of them could be the Lord, but that the Lord of the universe was one of the three. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Sulakaya Chakshulmitanyena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So here we see Atri Muni after Lord Dattatreya appeared as his son, who is Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva combined in that form. So he is inquiring here that, oh, I have called and prayed for Jagadishvara, Lord, the Lord of the universe, to appear. So he could not recognize that out of the three who has appeared as one, who is Lord Vishnu. Because they accepted bodies for creation, maintenance, and destruction of the universe. Right? So we have the Lord appearing as different avatars, and here as guna avatars. Mode of goodness, Lord Vishnu appears as the predominating deity. For creation, Lord Brahma appears as a predominating deity, and for destruction, Lord Shiva appears as a predominating deity. So, Lord Srila Prabhupada gives a nice analogy that just like we see while constructing a big building, the constructor has to be there before the construction of the building took place. Similarly, the predominating deities of these three modes of material nature, before them, the Lord must be existing, from whom these three modes of material nature comes, and who further expands as the predominating deity of these three modes of material nature. Right. Yeah. And another point which is made, the Lord of the universe cannot be one of the creatures created by Maya. The Lord is transcendental. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord says that Tribhi Guna Mahi Bhavai Ebi Idam Jagat Mohitam Nabhijanati Mamebhyam Param Abhayam. That these three modes of material nature come from me. And I am inexhaustible. Though they come from me, the whole world is bewildered by it, but I am inexhaustible. Right? Yeah, so he does not come under the influence of Maya. Maya is his external energy. That's how Atri Muni is praying to the Lord here to make him understand the identity of the Lord. Yeah, that's what I had.
You're muted, Guru Maharaj.
So it is. Prabhupada first makes that point, that the personality of Godhead must be transcendental to the modes of nature. Earlier in the third canto, we studied that the glance of the Lord activates the material nature. That means his glance is prior to material nature. Glance is prior means his eyes, means his whole form exists before the material nature exists. So the Mayavadi theory that the Lord accepts a body made of material nature is defective, or at least the Lord in his form must exist before the material nature. Maya gunayar anuyugam vigrihita deha. Atri Muni prays, you've vigrihita deha, you've taken a body, a maya gunayar, from the modes of material nature. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that means the Muni was ignorant about the position of Lord Vishnu. Prabhupada glosses it that he was doubtful about it, and Vishwanath just says he was in ignorance. So that's the position. The sage is not fully clear in his understanding. He didn't know even who he called for, because he's meditating the Lord of the universe. All right, who? Well, that I'm not quite sure. Whoever you are, Lord of the universe, please come. But he didn't know quite who the Lord of the universe is. And so now the three lords of the universe have appeared. He knew that it was one, but now he's got three. So Tebya Ka Eva Bhavatam Iho Bhahuta. He very respectfully welcomed them. He spoke with sweet words. These were obviously the three great personalities of the universe. But which one of you is the personality of Godhead? Which one of you is the Jagadisha, the controller of the world? That he doesn't know. So, yes. But he offers his respects to all of them. Te Brahma Vishnu Girisha Pranatosmi Aham Vaha. I offer my obeisances to you. Not that he's going to neglect. Only one of you is the Lord of the universe. The other two can get lost. He's respectful to all of them. But which of you did I call for? Hare Krishna.
I have one question, Guru Maharaj. This is a theme that we see repeated through Srimad Bhagavatam. We see it with the pastime of Bhrigu Rishi, committing a mental offense, a verbal offense, and a physical offense to figure out who the Supreme is. And we see it here with Atri Rishi. And then I was reading about it recently with Yudhishthir's Ashvamedha Yagya. He was also establishing who is Supreme. And And in these various statements, it seems like even superior entities are a little bit confused about the matter. As you mentioned with Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, there's some ignorance there. And I feel like these original beings, once it's been established in multiple different ways, it feels like they should have the point figured out. For us, we're born into a deeper state of ignorance, but for these higher planetary systems, we see Brahma be Mohan Leela and we see Indra bewildered, but that's part of the Lord's Leela. For the rest of the living entities, how is it possible that with their vast superior intelligence, with the access they have, that they haven't figured it out when repeatedly it seems like these sort of pastimes are taking place?
Muhyanti Yatsuraya, by the potency of the personality of Godhead, even the suras, even the great demigods become bewildered. The Brahma becomes bewildered. Everyone becomes bewildered. Also, the refined intellectual capabilities of the demigods bring them into refined regions of doubt. An ordinary fellow may, well, I don't know if it's this or that. I don't know. Then someone goes to college and says, well, it seems that it could be this or it could be that. It's the same confusion. But he says, well, on the one hand, I see from these sources, it appears to be that. And from these sources, it appears to be this. And it could be argued that it's this, but there are good arguments that it could be that. So they just up-level their confusion. The ordinary, the ordinary person is confused in an ordinary way, and the extraordinary person is confused in a sophisticated way. But they're both confused. Yes. And therefore, it requires the mercy of the Lord. Prasada lesha anugrahita evihi. Janati tattvam bhagavan mihimno. What is that? Nachanye kopi churan vichinvan. It's not just by thinking about it for a long time that one can understand the personality of Godhead. It requires the grace of the Lord. Of course, the demigods get the grace of the Lord, but the Lord also manages things in such a way that sometimes even they become bewildered, sometimes to teach us, sometimes to teach them. For whatever purposes, the Lord himself sometimes bewilders them.
Thank you very much. Your last point is echoed by Panchatattva Prabhu earlier in the chat. Our having any idea of Krishna at all is due to the inestimable mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his representatives. From Panchatattva Prabhu. And Saraswati Devi asks, we know that in the spiritual world there are planets ruled by all the incarnations of the Lord, like Varaha, Matsya, etc., and their respective worshippers go to their planet. Does that include Lord Buddha and Dattatreya, who preached impersonalism or nirvana?
First of all, I'm not quite sure that all the incarnations are present in the planets of the spiritual world. It's mentioned that Lord Nrsingadeva is, Lord Ram is, but I don't know that every incarnation has its own spiritual planet. So that's the first point. And the second point is Dattatreya, the Lord Buddha's a Shaktivesh avatar. He's one of the living entities. He's not Vishnu Tattva. So he certainly wouldn't have his own Buddha Loka in Vaikuntha. Dattatreya is a partial manifestation of Vishnu, but there's no indication that he would have his own place in Vaikuntha.
And then we have one more question from Murari Gupta Prabhu. Hare Krishna Maharaj, do the Mayavadis offer any cause and process of the material world?
Yes. Let me just think for a moment. If there's a cause and a process, ultimately it's all illusory. There may be so many causes and there may be so many things involved. Generally, Prakriti and Purusha, that, of course, that's the materialistic view, that Prakriti and Purusha alone, the material energy and the spiritual energy alone, create the universe. The traditional Mayavadis, they accept that things come by the evolution of, as described in the Shastras, and they may accept Lord Vishnu, this, that, but ultimately everything comes from the impersonal Brahma. Even if Vishnu creates the universe, finally Vishnu himself is a product of Maya, because he has a form. He has a form, and the Brahma can't have a form. So even if they accept everything about the creation of the universe as described in Shastras, finally they're stuck on this point, that the ultimate source of everything is impersonal.
Vidagda Madhava Prabhu, please. You can
Okay. Can you hear me?
yes, loud and clear.
Okay. Om Gyantamarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshutamaritanya Tasman Shri Guru Namaha. This situation reminds me of the assembly of sages that were discussing the masters of the cosmic situation and who was supreme, and they deputed Bhrigu Muni to see who was the supreme. And it's a famous story. Prabhupada tells it in Krishna book. But Bhrigu's first offense, first he went to Brahma and he neglected to offer obeisances to his father. He's the son of Brahma. And Brahma became angry, so he committed offense, mental offense to Brahma, and drew his anger. And then he went to Lord Shiva. I think they were related also, brother. Said they're both sons of Shiva. Sons of Brahma. And Lord Shiva wanted to embrace his brother, and he refused on the grounds that Shiva was impure. So he criticized his unclean habits. So it was an offense by words. And then Lord Shiva became angry. And then he committed the worst of the three offenses, the bodily offense of kicking Vishnu. But Vishnu did not become agitated. And so out of that, Bhrigu understood that Vishnu was supreme. So I would like to go back just for a short moment with verse 24 and the purport, and the three guna avatars that appeared before Atri Muni, which are in this verse also, and their respective symbols, kusha grass, disc, and drum. So I thought about this after the class on Monday, and Brahma, he was holding kusha grass that represents sacrifice. So kusha grass is used to cover the Vedic altar where the objects of sacrifice are placed, and it also, kusha grass is made into the seating mats for those attending the sacrifice. And there's an interesting verse in the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita. In the beginning, the Creator sent forth generations of men and demigods along with the system of sacrifice, and blessed them by saying, "Be happy and prosper by the system of sacrifice, for it will bring you everything you desire." And then 3:12, satisfied by sacrifices, the demigods will supply various necessities of life to mankind. And Vishnu, he's the maintainer, of course, and he's seen with the chakra, it chased Durvasa Muni all over the universe and beyond due to his offense to Ambarish Maharaj, another famous story. But this chakra is not just for the offenders or the demons that are mindful. and afraid of this, the power of the Sudarshan chakra. But it's mentioned in the Taittiriya Upanishad that the powerful controllers of the universe submit themselves in fearful reverence to the supreme controller, Lord Shri Vishnu. And the verse goes, out of fear of him, the wind blows. Out of fear of him, the sun moves, and Agni and Indra execute their duties. And death, the fifth of their number, races along out of fear of him. And then, of course, Lord Shiva, he appears with the drum. He beats in his wild dance at the time of destroying the universe. So the different symbols represent their roles in the cosmic management of the universe.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, I know in our other online sangha, it was mentioned with the Jamil in the Ajamil Leela about the symbols that the chakra has more of a use in chastising. So thank you for clarifying that. We have a comment from Praveen Krishna Prabhu. He mentions the sages asked Bhrigu Muni to ascertain who is the supreme. So not just Atri Rishi, but many Rishi. Yeah, there was lots of confusion. From Samarpana Gopadas, Dandavat pranams to all. I heard from His Holiness Bhaktivigyan Maharaj that this lack of clarity and confusion is due to the Vedic literature recommending so many sadhanas, sadhyas, and aradhyas, and all of them follow some vague. So it's vague as to who is supreme, as inquired by Shaunaka Rishi, Shaunakadi Rishi.
Very good point. In the Vedas, you'll find so many. There's hymns to Indra. There's hymns to Vishnu. There's hymns to Vayu. There's hymns here and there. So it's not so evident. It's not so. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it's evident. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it's evident. And what is that? Shrotavyani Vibhagasha. There's so many different scriptures with so many different things. So Bhagavatam is giving the essential answer. But without the Bhagavatam, we can be quite lost.
Thank you. And Panchatattva Prabhu says, a Vaishnava will see the Lord's Sudarshan Chakra as protective. Yeah, as in Vidagdamadava Prabhu's mentioning the pastime of Ambarish Maharaj. Yes. Saraswati Devi says, last class there was a discussion of who else carries it besides Lord Vishnu. And I learned that Mahalakshmi, consort of Narayan, also carries the chakra too for protection of devotees. All right, Panchatattva Prabhu, are you available to read 28?
Sure. Text 28. Eko mayeha bhagwan vivha pradhanash chitti krita prajananaya katam nuyuyam atragatas tanubrata manasopi durad bruta prasida tamahan iha vismayome. Translation. I called for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, desiring a son like him, and I thought of him only. But although he is far beyond the mental speculation of man, all three of you have come here. Kindly let me know how you have come, for I am greatly bewildered about this. Someone's microphone was on. Purport. Atri Muni was confidently aware that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Lord of the universe, so he prayed for the one Supreme Lord. He was surprised, therefore, that three of them appeared. Well, as just explained, it's not readily apparent even to great sages by study of the Vedas who is the supreme or who is the most worshipable Lord. And of course, in my simplicity, I'm reminded of that verse from 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Bhaktyamam abhijanati yavanyas chasmi tattvata tattvamang tattvato gyatva visate tadanantara. Krishna can only be understood. He declares himself through devotional service. And when one comes in full consciousness of Krishna by that devotional service, then he can enter into the kingdom of God. So Krishna declares in two different places in the Bhagavad Gita, as well as so many places, actually, that's the way to understand him. So I guess we mustn't be too hard on Atri Muni that he couldn't understand, since it was likely that he was not in that position, although a very great sage. And so he's inquisitive, he's inquiring, he's trying to understand at this point. And it'll be interesting to see how the three of them respond with sweet words. Hare Krishna.
Eka Maya. I called for one person, Jagadisha. Why have three of you come? That's the question. Hare Krishna.
Mahesh Pandit Prabhu, we always hear your kirtans, but I feel I would be remiss not to also ask you to read, if you're
Thank you.
available. 29.
Number 29. Maitreya uvacha iti tasya vacha shrutva trayaste vibudhar shabha pratyahulya slakshnya vacha prahasya tamrushim prabho. The great sage Maitreya continued. Upon hearing Atri Muni speaking in that way, the three great deities smiled and they replied in the following sweet words. So here is the reply. Deva uchu yatha krutaste sankalpo bhavyam tenaiva nanyatha sata sankalpasya te brahman yadhyayati ye vacham. The three deities told Atri Muni, Dear Brahmana, you are perfect in your determination, and therefore you have decided, therefore, as you have decided, so it will happen. It will not happen otherwise. We are all the same person upon whom you were meditating, and therefore we have all come to you. Wow, it's a big purport here. Atri Muni unspecifically thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord of the universe, although he had no clear idea of the Lord of the universe, nor of his specific form. Mahavishnu, from those whose breathing billions of universes emanate, and into whom they are again withdrawn, may be accepted as the Lord of the universe. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, from whose abdomen sprouts the lotus flower, which is the birthplace of Brahma, may also be considered the Lord of the universe. Similarly, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, who is the super soul of all living entities, may also be considered the Lord of the universe. Then, under the order of Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, the Vishnu form within this universe, Lord Brahma and Lord Vishnu, may also be accepted as the Lord of the universe. Vishnu is the Lord of the universe because he is the maintainer. Similarly, Brahma creates the different planetary system and the population, so he also may be considered the Lord of the universe. Or Lord Shiva, who is ultimately the destroyer of the universe, also may be considered its Lord. Therefore, since Atri Muni did not specifically mention whom he wanted, all three, Brahma, Vishnu, and Lord Shiva, came before him. They said, since you are thinking of having a son exactly like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord of the universe, your determination will be fulfilled. In other words, one's determination is fulfilled according to the strength of one's devotion. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan Pitrun Yanti Prithu Vrataha. If one is attached to a particular demigod, one is promoted to the abode of that demigod. If one is attached to the Pitas or forefather, one is promoted to that planet. And similarly, if one is attached to the Supreme Personality Godhead, Krishna, one is promoted to the abode of Lord Krishna. Atri Muni had no clear conception of the Lord of the universe. Therefore, the three presiding deities, who are actually the Lord of the universe in the three departments of the modes of nature, all came before him. Now, according to the strength of his determination for a son, his desire would be fulfilled by the grace of the Lord. This is very interesting. I was thinking before, why three deities came? So here's the answer. Brahma, Vishnu, and Lord Shiva, they are all considered to be the supreme, or up to the level of Lord of the universe. So since he didn't ask for any particular one, all three came in. Very interesting. Now, according to the strength of his determination for a son, his desire will be fulfilled by the grace of the Lord. So we know that he wanted a son exactly like Lord Vishnu. And here it explained that all these three deities, they are similar to Lord, Supreme Lord, in one sense. And here is all explained Guna avatars. And then Vishnu avatar. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, and Mahavishnu. Okay. All right, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
In the previous verse, it said that the Lord was smiling. So it seems like he's having a bit of amusement here. He doesn't directly answer the question. The question was, which of the three of you did I call for? He smiled and said, well, here we are. According to what you prayed for, that's what you're getting. So we're all the lords of the universe. You didn't seem quite clear about who you thought, so all of us are coming. You just prayed for Jagadisha. The Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's counts it as sort of a confusion about number. There's a place later in Bhagavatam where the mantras that are uttered that may we have a son who's the enemy of Indra, but wasn't quite chanted purely, so they got a son of whom Indra is the enemy. So like that, in our utterances, there can be vagueness, there can be confusion, there can be unclarity. So you prayed for the Lord of the universe. Maybe you were confused about whether there was one or three. Didn't seem like you had a very clear conception. Anyway, according to your vow, according to your determination, according to what you were praying for, this is what you got, the three of us. Also, it doesn't seem that the Lord is offended. He just took it in good humor, that this fellow doesn't quite know who's who. And in any case, we are all Lord of the universe. Lord Vishnu, because he creates, because he maintains, Lord Brahma, because he creates, Lord Shiva, because he destroys, and all of us, because we're all integrated. Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are also non-different from Lord Vishnu, but of course they're different. So that's also confusion, because in the Shastras sometimes it's said there's no difference between Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva, and sometimes even in the Bhagavatam we find that Lord Shiva's offered prayers, "Oh Bhagavan," and it's as if he's the original personality of Godhead. So there's a very close identification between the Lord and his immediate good avatars. So the confusion was there on the part of the sage. So the three great deities smiled. Prahasyatam Rishim Prabhu. They were smiling at this stage, like a child. Yeah, my dear child, you called for Jagadisha, but I don't think you know who Jagadisha is. So anyway, all three of us have come. It's we smile when we're, of course, pleased, and we smile sometimes when we're amused. So the Lord is, of course, and sometimes smiles are inscrutable. What exactly does that smile indicate? But so the Lord is smiling to the sage. The three lords are smiling and replying in this way, that yes, you called for all of us, and so what you wanted, you will get. That also, you can imagine the sage, what I wanted. I wanted to know which of the three of you is Jagadisha. They replied, what you wanted, you will get. Yes?
So, so I have a question regarding personalism versus impersonalism. So like few days ago, I was listening a short clip of an Islam scholar.
You're listening to an Islamic scholar a few days ago, okay?
Yeah, like a small clip. Like in Islam, they don't really believe in form of the Lord. They have an impersonal approach, right? Now, the scholar he pointed out to the Yajurveda 32.3 verse, which says that Natasya Pratima Asti. And he used that to infer that the God does not have a form. We, of course, have a different interpretation that it means that God does not have a material form, right? So that's how we refute their interpretation. Similarly, they, in their scriptures, have their own verses to prove that God does not have a form. And we, of course, can refute it by saying that their interpretation is either faulty or is it some other reason. We can say, the interpretation, there's a problem with that.
Hold on 1 second. I don't know if everyone's able to hear this. There's, you were hearing from an Islamic scholar, a short clip, and he was quoting from the Rig Veda, a verse that says that the Lord has no form. And of course, we take it, that means no material form. And one can also quote from Quran to the effect that that God has no form. Yes.
And we can refute it by saying that their interpretation has some problem, right?
We can say their interpretation has some problems.
Yeah,
yes.
And then we say that the personal aspect of the Lord is the highest realization, and the impersonal is the lower realization.
We say personal is higher, impersonal is lower. Yes.
Yeah, but then they can use this Yajurveda quote to say that the impersonal form is higher realization.
They can argue from the Vedas that the impersonal is higher.
For example, they can use the verse which says that those who worship demigods are materialistic people. And they can infer demigod as saying basically all the gods that we worship, which have forms. And then they can use that verse to say that because we worship personal forms, therefore we are materialistic, and therefore we are on a lower level. Whereas those who worship impersonal God, as per that verse, they are not materialistic. Therefore, they are on a higher level. So if I look at it in a completely unbiased manner, there are two different point of views. One promotes personalism, one impersonalism. both have their own reasons and both refutes each other's reason, but there is no common consensus between both of them.
So it seems that from this, what the Islamic scholars said, that there are two points of view, the personal and the impersonal. They represent the impersonal, we represent the impersonal, but there's no agreement between us. I think, yes.
And we can say that, it depends on the mercy of the Lord, but the same point they can also put it. We can say the mercy of the devotee, the same point they can also put it, that only by the mercy of devotees one can understand the impersonal aspect. So if you look at it in a completely unbiased manner, how can you...
Looking at it from an unbiased way, that seems to be how it is. But what's their opening, what's their big prayer to Allah?
I'm not sure.
Yes, but what else? That he's full of mercy.
Yeah.
He's all compassionate, all like that, all compassionate, all powerful. So what impersonal entity is full of compassion? If you have qualities like compassion, you can't be impersonal. Aguna, nirguna, the saguna nirguna. So nirguna Brahma can't have any qualities, and compassion is a quality. And specifically, it's the quality of a person. Redness may be the quality of an apple, but compassion is a quality of a person. So first of all, I'm not sure that we would agree, or that a Muslim would necessarily agree that Islam represents an impersonal, represents God as impersonal. You've represented him that way, and maybe that scholar has taken that view, but I don't know that that's the consensus in Islam, that God has no personal identity. And one could quote from the Quran. I'm not a Quranic scholar, but one could quote from the Quran also to establish personal identity. I think there's some place. No, that I'm thinking of a different scripture. Anyway, just from what I've said, he's all compassionate. Impersonalism is out the window now. Who ever heard of a compassionate impersonal entity? So but their philosophy is that form, they're really stuck on form. To have Allah or even Muhammad represented in some tangible form is quite outside the pale for the Muslim world. And the same thing appears in other traditions also. Judaism is also very much against worship of God with a form. Although there also, he's a person. He walks in the Garden of Eden. He speaks. He tells Adam and Eve that he's slow to anger and of great mercy. But when he gets angry, watch out. He's a person. He has personal attributes. So the idea that God is impersonal is not necessarily adhered to in Islam, in Judaism, in Christianity. Buddhism, yes. Although even there, even though Buddhism gives us not only impersonalism, but nirvisheshvad, ultimately there's no variety, there's practically nothing existing. Still, we see that in practice, they're worshiping the Buddha, they're worshiping great saints. So they can't escape this natural tendency of the living entity to acknowledge a superior. And the ultimate superior is the personality of Godhead. But anyway, leaving Nirvisheshvad aside, pause for the A train. Leaving Nirvisheshvad aside, there's personalism ultimately in Islam, and that's there everywhere. Also, I think we have to be careful, by the way, when we speak of other traditions and what they accept, what they believe. It's very easy to sort of put them in a slot and say, well, they think this, and then of course they do that with. There's some big Islamic missionary to the Hindus, and he's poking at all these superstitions and so on of Hinduism, and sometimes we agree with him. Sometimes we agree with him. We have the same critique of some of these Hindu ideas, but ultimately he's not. He doesn't subscribe. He's Gnostic. He doesn't have faith in the Vedic path. He just wants to find contradictions in it. And he won't understand the value of the dharmic approach because he approaches it with the idea for let's criticize it. So he can't see what's of value there. So one has to be careful when dealing with different scriptures, different traditions. It's easy to sort of mischaracterize them. In any case, when it comes to the Vedic tradition, we see there's lots of room for confusion, and it's not surprising that so many Hindus are very much confused. So therefore, we want to give Bhagavad Gita as it is and Srimad Bhagavatam to create clarity from confusion. That was the request of the sages. Samudrita Manishaya Bruhi Bhadrani Bhutana Mena. Please give us the essence of all these different scriptures so that we can get the benefit for everyone. I see we've gone beyond our time.
I can run through these comments rather quickly, and then we can turn it over to your live band if such is available. But Panchatattva Prabhu just mentioned, how can we be servants of God if he's not a person? And Samarpana Gopa Prabhu furthers it. Only by practicing pure devotional service can one can and will understand Krishna. Bhaktya tvananyaya shakya. Ananya means no other sadhya sadhana or aradhya, as shared by Panchatattva Prabhu. And then Vidagdha Madhava Prabhu mentioned that in India, some Hindus become agitated when you make a distinction between these three Gunavatars. They just refer to them as the gods. But then he furthers his statement, there are places in the Vedas where Brahma is declared supreme, and other places where Lord Shiva is declared supreme. What to speak of Vishnu as the supreme, which is all over the Vedas. And Saraswati Devi says, this verse reminded her of the verse in Adi Leela 5:142. Lord Krishna alone is the supreme controller, and all others are his servants. They dance as he makes them do so.
Jai, fitting conclusion.
Oh, and one more from Panchatattva Prabhu. Any of the three controlling deities of the universe could have told Atri Muni the confidential answer to his question. Why didn't they? From another angle, is the reason that Atri Muni was not informed who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead because this is very confidential knowledge, even for the sages?
Well, there we're going to spend some time trying to understand the mind of the Lord. Who can understand? But different explanations can be given. I gave one. The Lord was amusing himself. He was having a good time with this. And other is the one they give directly, that, well, you called for the three of us, you're getting the three of us. What's the problem? The Lord's also creating a subject matter for our engagement and instruction. It's his pastime. Hare Krishna.
And one last comment from Saraswati Devi regarding the semantics. Be careful how you offer your prayer. Ravana's brother Kumbhakaran also mispronounced what boon he wanted. Instead of wanting Indra's position, Indrasana, he asked for Nindrasana from Lord Brahma and therefore had to sleep most of his life. All right, I turn it over to the live band. Thank you all.
Thank you all very much. Yes.
Hare Rama,
Jai Om Nishvad Panumansa Vibraj Charja Sto Shri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Raj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Tham Ki Jai Navadip Tham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you all so much for the enlivening questions and discussions. The end here, just hearing that kirtan made me realize, this is our real purpose. This is how we don't forget that Krishna is supreme. So thank you to Mahesh Pandit in the beginning and our live band in the end. And thank you all. Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Mahesh Pandit Prabhu. Thank you to all. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.